The corner, the corner, the corner. Hey, welcome. Come on into Cousin Ed's Corner. This podcast is where you will find real, authentic conversation, organic conversation, like you're at home with your cousin. It's about life, it's about finance, it's about spirituality, it's about love, and everything in between. I'm your host, Cousin Ed. I'm excited to bring you along on this journey to explore life. Listen, let's sit back and enjoy a wide range of topics. I have some diverse guests coming on, a wide range of spectrum of thoughts. My goal is to create a space for all of us to connect, all of us to learn each other, and all of us to communicate. It's really not about me. It's about a community as a whole. Let's enjoy this. Let's sit back. Let's think about our past. Let's move into our future. It's about the corner, the corner, the corner. So no matter how you cut it or slice it, we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. The corner, the corner, the corner.
What's good, people? How you doing out there? This is Destrin checking in from the Brethren Podcast. We're here with Cousin Ed, with Cousin Ed's Corner. What we wanted to let you know is, number one, we appreciate you checking in with us. We appreciate you liking, subscribing, and supporting the platform. We also wanted to let you know that this is information. This is used for informational purposes only. This is not financial advice and should not be used as such. Please consult your financial advisor should you feel the need to make an investment decision, a financial decision, or a decision that may be impactful to your family from a tax advantage standpoint. What we want to do is bring you content that is eye-opening, glaring, and also provides you the opportunity to explore, ask better questions, and be better prepared for the opportunities that await you. Again, this is Cousin Ed's Corner, and we hope that we can be of service to you. We love you. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We are back. We are back. We are back. Another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. And this one is going to be a Financial Freedom Friday. I feel odd when I have a queen on, and I want to bring her on for when my sister wins, we all win. But this young lady we have today, she is an expert in money matters. And I wanted to bring her on and just have her talk to you, the community, about some of this money matters and insurance and this life in general. I've known her for some years now. And actually, that's probably another funny story. I don't even remember how I met you so many years ago. But we've always been in communication. I will say this is one person that I did not meet on social media. At least I don't think I met on social media. So as y'all know, I detest social media, but she's someone I did not meet on social media. She's just been a good spirit, a good person, a good friend throughout the years. She's been a supporter of the show, and we've been playing interview tag to try to get her on the show, and she's been trying to get me on her show. So this is the first round of us connecting. So Queen Janel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Cousin Ed. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening.
I definitely appreciate you. Listen, I apologize for any time I have not made the commitment or made the opportunity to make one of your shows, but I promise I'm putting it on the air. I'm putting it out there. I will be there soon.
Well, like I said, you can always watch the replay. The replays are always available on Facebook and YouTube with the Power Fridays live broadcast. We now have.
I have watched them. I'm talking about me coming on and being with your audience. So yeah.
Yes, you definitely will get you a date pretty soon, very soon, as they say, soon and very soon. Any Friday night, 7 p.m. that you're available.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Let's talk. So, Cousin Ed's Corner is more organic. I didn't want to
have questions or anything, but I really wanted the audience to know who you are and, what got you to this point of being in finance or being in insurance or wanting to help people. So if you don't mind letting everybody know a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, and what got you to the point of being an entrepreneur and wanting to help others.
Well, thank you so much for that question. Well, I am Janel Pulley. I currently reside in the Atlanta Metro, Georgia area. And I grew up in a small rural community with both my parents, and it's in my DNA for helping people. They worked in the community. I was raised in church, and that's just part of my DNA. I learned how to do everything, as they said, in the household. So we were taught life skills growing up. So being taught life skills by both my parents and my father's parents, my grandparents. I was raised part-time on a farm. And when you talk about growing as a person or growing your money, that whole encompassing of being a farmer was instilled in me at a very young age, where we planted the seeds and we watched it grow and we tend to the land. And so that really has me inspired to understand from an experience I had where my dad planted 60 acres of watermelons for my sister and myself and my brother to tend to while they were growing. We had to move the grass out of the land because to make the plants grow better, to have the watermelons come. So once they grew, he paid somebody to take them out of the land and put them on the back of his truck. So we rode around a couple of communities, and we peddled watermelons and sold them. So you can imagine, after the day, we counting up the money at the end of the night. Then he's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to need X for my gas in my truck. I'm going to need X for the fertilizer that was put on the land for when you guys stopped working in the field. I had to spray everything down." So it was like a lesson learned. So we didn't end up with all the money at the end of the day, which the money that we did have left over, we split it and bought our clothes for the new school year. So that was a money lesson and a money experience that although you went out and you did the work, you tended to the land, you still had expenses to pay, and here's just what you net. And you didn't get it all. So that was a great experience.
Kind of remind me of the Huxtables when Cliff was talking to Theo. This the money you're gonna make, and you got to break it down afterwards. So that's an excellent analogy. Your dad helped you learn early about how money and how finance works. So definitely, it sounds like my dad. I think I told a story once about the ice cream truck. My dad took me on an ice cream truck, and I didn't want to work the ice cream truck, and ended up going out one day and making so much money, and understanding that, sometimes things you have to work hard for in life and work through, and then, like you said, pay yourself back and pay the bills back. But it's something you did and you can accomplish. So, so you grew up on a farm, 60 acres.
Well, that's part-time. That was summertime. That was how I spent my summers.
Okay. 60 acres. Is this up towards Maryland?
No, Missouri, the Midwest.
Missouri, 60 acres. Lord, that's amazing.
My dad
story.
had 100, so he just took like 60 of the 100.
Listen, if y'all don't see the chills y'all can't see the chills. I have chills in me right now. A black person with 100 acres. We talk about our 40 acres and a mule. We talk about a black person with 100 acres. That is amazing. Yes. Was it something that was hand down from his family, or something he bought himself so far as 100 acres?
Well, it turns out his father had 100, and my grandfather, he didn't have a 6th grade education and couldn't read or write. And he worked, as a sharecropper for some time, and he ended up learning the business and knew the business and was actually helping other people with the yield from the land make more money. And so his dream was always to own his own property. And so he, bought 100 acres and built his wife a house on it, and it still stands to this day. And then my dad, since the age of 12, he wanted to be a farmer. And when there was land available from the neighbors, then he ended up making the transaction, and he and my mom ended up buying their 100 acres. And so therefore, now there's like a total of 200 acres them in our family as
That
a result of
is,
my dreams that my grandfather and my dad had.
mm, that is beautiful, and that's a blessing. And then to be able to leave it to your grandkids, and leave it to your kids. And we talk about generational wealth. That's the only thing a lot of us miss that curve. Growing up in certain environments and didn't have, people didn't have the foresight to see that, or maybe not even wanting to be rich, just wanting to have your own. A lot of people
Yes.
think about, they got 100 acres to be rich. They wanted their own. Like you say, you wanted to build a house for your grandmother. Just wanted to have your own. But I'm proud of them. That is amazing.
Yeah. And biblically, it says, good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children in
Amen.
Proverbs.
Definitely, amen. So you grew up there on that land. Then what about school? I mean, schooling and going to college, and what got you down to this Atlanta area?
Well, going to school, I did my high school, and in Missouri is one of the few states that require a financial course, a financial class. Missouri is at one out of like 8 or 13 states that require a financial course. So in high school, I took accounting or bookkeeping, those courses were available, but I participated and worked in high school part-time at the bank. So I worked as a mortgage clerk. That was like my first job in the bank. And after I did that, I learned about savings. They're like, oh, open up a bank account, open up a Christmas club account, and open up a savings account. So when I started day one, I was opening up 3 accounts. I had no idea what a Christmas club account was. I was like, well, what do you do with it? It's like, we weren't a family to, do layaway growing up, because I found that out later in life as I became older. Growing up in a small rural community, of course, I wanted to go to the big city, right? And so I attended Harrisville State University and HBCU in St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm a Hornet, and studied business, because when I looked at the farm and when I looked at what my dad did, I considered everything business. He said, well, I'm like, well, everything you do in life is a transaction or has business tied to it. So I wanted to be a business major. And then I also want to be a marketing major, because I'm like, well, with marketing, you have to tell people and let people know what you have available and what you have going on. And of course, from my experience, in sales as a young person in selling, then I was like, oh, you got to let people know this is what you have available. And so in school, then I went to college there. And then, fast forward, you move to a different community for love or a job or family.
Over both.
Or both. So, I relocated after finishing college with my family at the time. And so that's how I landed in Atlanta. And being here, it's been an eye-opening experience. Right after I relocated here, within months, my sister passed away with no life insurance. And I got that call. I'll never forget. I had just started working at the same bank I worked at when I was in high school. I had a position here, and I was just 2 weeks into my training, and here I had to be gone. They gave you 4 days off, I believe. And so I found out. I went to work the next day, let them know. They're like, what are you doing here? I was like, well, I can't really do anything. My sister passed away. They're trying to figure things out. And as soon as I know when the services are, I'll let you know what time I need off. Like that. And, I was hurt behind it, because it was like, gosh, here I am in a whole nother state, and this happened. And so my dad, he talk about saving money and having an emergency fund. He had the money to pay for his daughters to be laid to rest. And that's where that was a true emergency. So he paid for her funeral out of money he had saved. And this was a weird funeral. because we were at the funeral home. Her casket was rolled in. We were rolled in. We had an hour service, and then the casket was rolled out the back door, and then another casket was rolling in to that same space that we were in, like immediately thereafter. I was like, wow. It was like they were just recycling funerals, like in one funeral right after the other. It was like, oh my
Check
gosh.
out the checkout line.
Right. Yeah. So it was like no time that you had to like commune with family time or anything like that. So my church home, supplied everything for the repast in that regard. And it was great that you're connected. I was connected in that way, and they took care of our family. And, but one thing, he had enough money, and I love my dad, to pay for the funeral service. But when it came to the headstone, years later, three of her children, she passed away and had 5 children left behind. They paid for her a headstone for her when she would have been like, I think, 50 years old. So 3 of her children pulled their money together and got their mom a headstone. So I thought that was like beautiful and touching, because it's like, well, you had enough money to take care of, what they needed to be taken care of. But then you learned like 5 children left behind and no plan. It was a
Mm.
struggle for them. And with my oldest niece, her oldest daughter, she came to live with me as an 18 years old, finished high school, night school in Fayette County, and just started her life and met a man, beautiful family, 2 kids now. I couldn't be happier with how things turned out in her life. And, it was really great that we just made sure that the children didn't fall through the cracks with the system, because my nephew, he did fail one of his courses, but then he graduated high school with honors later. So, and, going to college and
Excellent.
all that good stuff. It's a beautiful story, how things turned around for them in that way. But we came together as a family to help make things happen. And, we as people, when we don't have a plan, we show up for family.
Or we go to GoFundMe.
Yes, and or you beg for people. We were fortunate not to have to beg for
Nah,
community.
and I'm making light of it in
Yeah,
sense of um
we
your
no
father.
barbecue plates were sold.
Yeah, your father and your grandfather, it instilled in them, their ancestors, your line of heritage has something already instilled in them. God has you covered in so many ways just by the story you told in the beginning. So definitely continue blessings and coverings for your family and the kids and everyone else to lose a loved one. That transition, you're already here and you're working for the same bank, and you see she didn't have health insurance. I mean, that was you. Excuse me. She didn't have life insurance. That transition, you didn't want to help others in the quest of getting life insurance, or is that the first route you went?
Yes, so people of course bring opportunities to you sometimes. They call you up and say, hey, I want you to come check this out. I've got you keep your income options open. It's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I was invited out to a business opportunity meeting with one of the independent marketing organizations. And I really liked what they had to say, and they about how they help families and how they help more people in a month, and their motto was no family left behind. And that was really intriguing for me to be like, oh yeah, you serve the middle class America, the people who are the underserved communities, and you bring about to educate them on their finances and how to leave a legacy for their family, how to downsize their debt. And I was like, oh yeah, and I could figure out there's something in it for me too, in that regard, because the first person that I went to work on was myself, my finances, my situation, and learned
Mm.
real quickly that I saved $80 out of my paycheck just for making one decision after they evaluated my paycheck and said, how much life insurance do you have, and how much value of your home? My home was valued at maybe 200,000 at the time, and I had carried $300,000 worth of term insurance at my job. And they were like, you're paying $80 a month for term insurance? Oh wow, that's unheard of. That's way too much. And so I was able to get a $300,000 term policy for like $25 a month. So that was like
Mm.
I had an 80. No, I was paying like 130 a month, and then I had a $80 savings because then I only ended up paying 25 a month for like 300,000. And because they looked at my whole picture and said, oh, your house
Mm.
is worth this, your assets, your all of that, and your debt is worth all of this, so let's give you 300,000. And so I was like, I just saved $80. So that was fascinating to know that I can share with other people how if you're putting all your money in the term insurance at your job, and they're like, well, what will happen, and ask me this question, well, what would happen if you left your job or your job left you? And I
Don't
was like,
don't
what
don't
do you
ask that,
mean?
cause I'll start crying. I
I was
did I did
like,
16 years. I did 16 years at my first company and
mm-hmm,
did not know. No one ever spoke to me about, the same thing you're mentioning now. And when you leave, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting because I'm about to cry,
oh,
but
you're
when you
fine.
leave, they send you this letter and say, do you want to keep your insurance? But it's at an astronomical fee because you're not rated the same. I mean, I guess you rated the same, but you're paying outside the company now. And I ended up saying, no, I can't afford that. And I'm having to go get my own policies outside of the company. So yes,
Yeah.
we're not
And
taught that up front.
yeah, and that experience alone was eye-opening for me, and I'm just like, let me go and be a spread the word like wildfire that this is available. Like, hey guys, you need to have life insurance because if your job leaves you unwarranted, or you didn't expect it, you need to have something. And one of my clients had the experience of being let go in 2000, of course, with COVID, but she had life insurance, so she wasn't worried, and her income with that unemployment check paid for the policy when she was in between
Mm,
jobs. And so it
mm-hmm.
wasn't like she wasn't going to have money to pay for the policy because she was able to have the unemployment income. So she was able to retain her life insurance outside her job and not be without it, because of course we know during COVID, what happened there with people passing away with no life insurance, and how that affected a lot of families. um,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, wow. So I was very happy to help that family to know that they would be taken care of regardless if they had a job or not. So, but
Definitely.
yeah, you mentioned Money Matters. Money Matters is the first chapter of my book.
I do know. I
If you
look. I
read.
teased it. I teased it.
Yes.
I actually wanted to go into that. Like I said, most of these shows are not long shows. I want to make sure that people know who you are. So you went from there. You went to insurance. You're a licensed insurance broker right now.
Yes, I'm a licensed insurance broker.
Agent,
Yes,
agent or broker.
agent. But I do broker activities because of the simple fact I'm not captive with one company. So I don't work with just one company. I can service a client with a choice of several different companies based on what their needs are. So it's not a
Mm.
one-stop shop with some insurance companies. This is the product we sell. This is the only product I have for you, and this is the price. I said, I don't want a cookie cutter. People aren't cookie cutters, and everyone has a unique situation. So I wanted to be the person that would be able to service a person full service, give them full service, and not have a cookie cutter product to serve them with that may or may not be the best fit for them. So I chose to go the broker route. So I have like 25 different companies to choose from, and then I find the best price and the best company. Of course, with the 25, they're all highly rated, A-rated companies, and with a great financial backing. So I work with the best companies, and then depending on a person's health conditions, their situation, or their family needs, then we I do the research and find the best program for the family.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to touch on your book. This is part of our meeting, I believe. I think we met before the book, and you
Yes.
was gracious enough to send me a copy of the book. I kept it by my bedside I read it and read it again and read it again, and I'm still reading it again because it touches a lot of parts of everyday life, the money matters of everyday life. So if you don't mind speaking on that, then I'll I'll let you give out your information if people want to get the book.
Sure. It's now available on Amazon. Money just flew out the window.
Okay.
How to create a relationship with wealth, living from paycheck to paycheck. I came up with the idea and the concept from a coworker of mine. She actually titled the book because I went to her and I said, well, we're working, and don't you just feel like sometimes you're in a money trap? I think I want to, call. I was throwing out some names of the titles for my book. I said, I'm writing a book, and what do you think about these titles? And she says, well, my dad always said money just flew out the window. I said, oh, I like that. And so then I said, well, my mama always said, don't take no wood nickels. And I explained that. And then, of course, my dad always said, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And so I was like, let me make a chapter on all those things that people say about money, make it rain. A man and a fool and his money are soon parted. So I was like, oh, wow, those would be some cool chapters. And I would just explain what it means to have a fool in his money part. That means you don't save any money. That means you spend money frivolously. And then I just explain all of those things and then say, hey, this is how you create a relationship with money so that you'll have money, be able to save it, and really focus on budgeting, saving, planning, and for the future. And so that's like the whole relationship. And then, of course, I started listening to Reverend Ike messages and about, being prosperity preaching, I guess some people call it. But then it was just like, be, do, and have the good that you desire. And it's just like, don't have a money rejection complex. It's like how people say what they say about money can have money they can have them not have money. And I learned about all those things. And it's like, well, gosh, what does all that mean? That means that you have a relationship. And he always talked about having the right relationship with money. And I was like, wow. And then, of course, my Make It Rain chapter is all about ways to make money. So I said, well, let me just pull it all together, gives people a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and bring it together and just develop like, hey, this is how you have the relationship. I know that there's some financial experts out there that, you get paid on Friday, you don't have any money on Monday, and so the people live paycheck to paycheck. So I wanted to change that with the mentality of people with the mindset about money to be like, hey, have a relationship with it and live from paycheck to paycheck, and not just have money and truly live and build from paycheck to paycheck, what we would call wealth for retirement, and thinking about, having money for a rainy day. Of course, we've experienced rainy 2 years and, have, yes, just have something that you need when you have money when you need it, and not still have a want for money when you have a need for it.
I definitely get all of that. The one thing I loved about your book, that the metaphors that you just broke down, each chapter had a metaphor, and it's common things that we hear, and some people may not know what they actually mean. So I love that portion of it. Shared it with my kids and everyone. So definitely hats off to you. Congratulations for being on Amazon now. You said they could find you on Amazon. Where else can they find you at?
Yes, so you can find me also at fixedfinancialliteracy.com. My financial fixedfinancialliteracy.com, that is a website where you can actually take a money challenge and get another book that I promote called How Money Works. Don't be a sucker. Stop being a sucker, actually. And it's a really good book as well that I share. And alongside my book, if you have both books companion, then it's like one tells you, they both are speaking the same language. So fixedfinancialliteracy.com is where you can get the financial literacy education. There's a 5-question money challenge. And then you can also, request after you complete the money challenge, you can request to have a certificate program with me. I deliver 5 30-minute sessions with you. So I work with you. We go over 5 different sessions, and you get a certificate for completing the curriculum. of how
Excellent.
money works. So that's something that is free. And so that doesn't cost you anything to participate. It's just your time. And so I'm very excited and happy, to deliver that education and then be able to provide a certificate at the end once you obtain the information, which basically takes you through, all the milestones of your life, growing up, just preparing for children for college, preparing for retirement. If you have a newborn baby, how to really prepare for that child to be $1 million baby, we call it,
Mhm.
because it's possible to put enough money away when the child is young. The younger you are when you start saving, the more money you can have compound interest for and have over time building, with today's market. Though even though it's up and down and volatile, you can still
See
end
you.
up having $1 million.
You dropping nuggets. You dropping nuggets. I want to bring you back for another part.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
indeed.
It
Well,
is April Financial Literacy Awareness Month, so I definitely love educating people, and I'm glad to see that if you learn something new, I very much did my job.
you're doing your job. So definitely want to appreciate you and say thank you for coming on Cousin Ed's Corner. I want them to
Sure.
be able to reach out to you. You can leave her a text message, 762-333-2032. That's 762-333-2032. Or go to cousinedscorner.com, cross top of the page, hit leave voicemail, and you can leave her a voicemail. I do share all text and voicemails with the guests, and I will play them or read them on another show. So I want to let you know that the key is under the mat. If I don't think I got tea in the cabinet. I'm not gonna give you what's down below the cabinet. I got some tea in the cabinet. You can make your tea when you come down. So you're
Yes.
welcome to come back anytime to Cousin Ed's Corner. I look forward to having you again. Do you have any departing words for the listeners?
Yes, I know there's holidays that come around every month for people. Birthdays are one of the major holidays, we call it here. And of course, Mother's Day is coming up, and we have Memorial Day coming up. So a lot of people like to give gifts for people. And some people make requests for gifts. And just being mindful of, like I mentioned, Christmas Club earlier, saving all year long for Christmas. Wow. And you may want to save all year long for that big birthday present. But being mindful about the value that you put on material things, just be mindful. And I know though that baby looks good in those $200 pair of Nike tennis shoes, but that baby is going to quickly grow out of that too. That's not an investment. I'd rather make a recommendation to put $200 into, a CD account or something that's going to grow over time. But just wanted to, share that real quick. I know a lot of people place value in different ways and different things come up. So I just, look at there are options and what the options are and the various opportunities that you would have to actually grow your money. And there's a lot of people out here giving gifts around this time of the year, and just want to share, give a gift that keeps on giving would be my recommendation.
You gonna get us in trouble. You gonna get us in trouble.
Yes.
Listen, I could tell you stories. Oh my goodness, that's
Yes.
another episode. Look, I'm doing a
And
bonus.
love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the key.
I'm gonna put this out there. I'm gonna be doing some bonus shows on Cousin Ed's Corner, and they're gonna be the trouble side of Cousin Ed's Corner, where I could let my hair down a little more. So look for that, some bonus shows, because you're gonna get us in trouble telling the truth. The truth will definitely get you in trouble. But I definitely appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. I love to have you back again. I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. Everyone out there, thank you for listening. Make sure you share this show with your friends, family, and loved ones. Today, we definitely got some gems that were dropped on us. So definitely share the show. I love each and every one of y'all. There's nothing you can do about it. Peace.
This is AJ Wilson of the Brethren Podcast, just stopping through Cousin Ed's Corner to say this episode, not the other ones, but this one has been brought to you by the Brethren Podcast. That's spelt like bread because we always talking about it and we always getting it.
Thank you for listening to Cousin.